Let's face it, the ups and downs of depression is such an irritating pattern that becomes painfully familiar if you've been depressed for some time. But you know what's more annoying? You can't even enjoy the few good days you have because you keep getting the spoiler alert at the back of your mind reminding you that depression is coming back. It's only a matter of time. Then, when depression finally cycles back, powerless to do anything about it, you find yourself drifting into this negative person you don't like, locking yourself away from everyone, no longer able to experience any pleasure from living. Now you can't help but wonder, is this how my life will always be? But, in spite of all this, we can't hide the fact that there are people out there who've been able to avoid relapse. So the question is, what are they doing differently? Hi, I'm Adewale Ademuyiwa from Stresstherapist.net, and in this 5-part video series on depression management, I will be taking you through 5 critical tips for improving your chances to avoid those invasive relapses commonly experienced with depression. So, tip number 1 is to develop the habit to always remind yourself that depression is not a mental health condition. Say what? Yes, I know. Sounds wrong, doesn't it? But it goes to show how decades of social conditioning can make us believe the wrong thing. You see, so many people wrongfully assume that depression is just a mental health condition. This couldn't be further from the truth. Up until recently, researchers have been focusing on depression as the root cause for the depression phenomena. But now, studies are coming out of the woodworks shedding light on the fact that we've got it wrong all this while. We've all been focused on the wrong thing. There are bigger things happening within the human body, and depression, with all the physical and emotional problems which occur at the same time, are just symptoms of those bigger problems. If you'd like to go deeper into the research on this, see the works of Dr. Owen Wolkowitz from the University of California, Professor Robert Sapolsky from the Stanford University, Dr. Turan Canley, and Dr. Bruce Lipton. But you know what's more worrisome about what all these studies are suggesting? It's that your depression could be as a result of one of the many different conditions that have been pinpointed as a potential root cause for depression. And this is different for everyone. Here is a list of a few of those conditions that have been connected to depression so far. Infections that affect us at a genetic level, thyroid problems, a condition called Cushing's disease, inflammation within the body and within cells, disorders of the immune system, heart problems, and the list goes on. But just to clarify the enormity of the problem this creates, let's assume, for argument's sake, that they have now found 800 different conditions that also lead to depression. The troubling question is, which one of those 800 different conditions leads to your particular experience of depression? The honest answer? We don't know. In fact, some researchers are suggesting that until we develop a personalized blood or DNA test for depression, we may never be able to pinpoint the root cause of each person's depression. And that's not happening anytime soon. This sounds very gloomy, doesn't it? And if you're struggling with depression right now, it might be making you wonder, is there any hope for me? Do I have to stay many more years before I can get proper help with my depression once and for all? But there's good news. You see, within all the research currently existing about the root causes of depression, there is another common theme that offers hope for the effective management of depression right now. What's the common theme? You see, irrespective of what your root cause of depression might be, the commonly noted pattern is that the root condition leads to an increase of stress hormones within the body. And as the stress hormones increase, not only does it make the root condition worse, the body and mind also become affected in the myriad of ways that generate the symptoms we now associate with depression. In addition, it's been noted that the increase in stress hormones created by the stresses in life alone can activate these root conditions as well. So, what's the good news here? You see, we may not be able to do anything about the root causes of depression right now, but as it turns out, since stress hormones are the central pivot that makes things worse or better, all you need to do is manage the psychological and biological impact of stress on your mind and body better. Not taking this precaution means you risk relapsing. In my experience, once my clients or my fellow therapists' clients have worked this way of managing depression into their lifestyle, the result is that they're able to sustain the motivation to enjoy doing things and have fun with their friends and family members. The valuable ability to enjoy simple things like eating food is sustained. They feel more in control of their life, and then thoughts about suicide become a distant memory. So next, I will use a true life case study of one of my former clients who was able to learn to manage her depression better to walk you through an overview of how this depression management system works. Then in video 2 to video 5, I will walk you through the exact system step by step to give you the opportunity to achieve a similar result. So back to my client. I'll just call her Becky for confidential reasons. Now, the background to Becky's experience of depression was that she suffered with severe back pain issues and dyslexia right from her childhood. And as many do, Becky didn't want people to think less of her because of her limitations. She needed to prove that she could still make it in life and nothing was going to stop her. So she forced herself to work harder than other people to achieve her grades and anything else she wanted. But eventually, in her early teens, she was hit severely with anxiety and depressive symptoms. This pattern of hard work and repeating illnesses followed her right through to her early 20s. But what was so sad, hard, and unfair about her experiences was that despite being faced by unfair circumstances all her life, her attempts to survive those unfair life situations itself kept landing her in more emotional problems. Sadly, this is how it goes for many people as well. You may have been abused, may have been overly criticized, neglected, or bullied. You'll find that you also do your best to develop survival strategies to help you get through those difficult times and those difficult days. But sadly, those same survival strategies become the catalyst that promotes depression and other painful emotional problems. So, here's a quick list of some of the survival strategies people tend to fall for. Trying too hard at things, procrastinating, taking too much on, taking on other people's responsibilities, avoiding making decisions, and the list goes on. Now, because people then repeatedly use some of their survival strategy a lot over the years, these survival strategies become anchored into their psyche and eventually become part of the person's personality. And here are some of the anchors you might recognize. So people might refer to themselves as being shy by nature, or they say that they are just impatient by nature, or that their personality is just to worry all the time. So what's really happening here? You see, in a natural process, the attempt to protect yourself is unintentionally internalized as a way of living, which then naturally promotes high toxic stress levels and then depression. Relating this back to Becky, as a side effect of working hard to avoid failure, she began to notice herself going through wave after wave of depression. The downs were so frustrating because this was not the person she wanted to be. She wanted to be energetic, fun-loving, a nice person to be around, and a dependable person. But why were these ups and downs becoming so unrelenting? You see, whilst all the survival strategies and the anchors are being formed into habits, there is a deeper, more insidious thing going on. Your ways of thinking, interpreting things, reacting to things, and making decisions are literally making a negative imprint on the genes within the cells of your body. And this is supported by science too. According to Dr. Bruce Lipton, a stem cell biologist, At any given moment, thoughts have a potential to change our body's chemistry, which in turn then changes the programming within our genes. Here is a statement from Dr. Lipton. The function of the mind is to create coherence between our beliefs and the reality we experience. In other words, your mind will adjust the body's biology and behavior to fit with your beliefs. Essentially, Becky's fight to survive promoted not only changes in her genes, but it also led to high stress levels. And one of the things we now know about the impact of high stress levels on our body is that stress hormones, specifically cortisol, have the potential to penetrate cells at a genetic level, causing our body's cells to grow old faster, perform poorer, and die at a rate that's faster than the body's ability to replenish. For good evidence of this, all you have to do is look at before and after pictures of American presidents to see the aging impact of stress. Now, what does this all have to do with depression? You see, depleted healthy cells within the brain and body naturally leaves us with far less functioning cells to do the work of effectively passing happy chemicals around the brain and body. Happy chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine become depleted. And the result is that your motivation takes a hit, your energy levels takes a hit, your concentration takes a hit, your sense of enjoyment takes a hit, and your low mood intensifies. So hopefully you can clearly see that these are the depressive symptoms everyone commonly experiences. But the million-dollar question is, how can all the information in this video actually help you to avoid relapse? Here's the exact two-step process that Becky took that gave her the remarkable results she achieved. Step 1 was to catalog all the survival strategies Becky and I felt were sabotaging her psychologically and biologically. Then step 2 was to gradually tone down her reliance on those survival strategies. The result? You see, all through those years whilst on antidepressants, Becky tried her best to come off her meds. But whenever she stopped taking her medication, depression would return with a vengeance in just 1 week. After putting this two-step process for managing depression better into practice, the results were astonishing. And this is Becky's feedback. She said, "The sessions have helped me to stop over-analyzing everything. I'm now not getting overly stressed, which has had the effect of helping me manage my depression better. I've been able to wean myself off my antidepressants, obviously with my doctor's guidance. Now, for the first time in 10 years, I have been off my antidepressants for almost a month, and I'm still feeling better than I have ever felt in a long while." Now, I must give an important disclaimer. I'm not saying anyone should go and stop their medication. That will be a big mistake. But I'm just sharing this with you to show the kinds of results you can achieve if you start thinking of depression as a whole body issue and not just a mental health one. In the next 3 videos, I'll be taking you through a step-by-step breakdown of how to practically go about toning down the things that sabotage you both psychologically and biologically. So, I'll see you in the next video.